UK bodybuilding is in crisis. With growing numbers of competitors opting for more accessible fitness-based competitions, and with controversy and discourse within the established federations in the UK, traditional bodybuilding is at risk of being squeezed out. But after 3 years away from the sport, two veterans of the UK bodybuilding scene are out to prove they'll do whatever it takes to win a British title.
I'm going to have to go Team Tom at this point, but don't tell him that.
There's always competition, isn't there? But that makes you want to be better.
He's judging, you can see he's still got the passion for it, he still wants to be up there.
Come on.
Does Daddy get grumpy when he's dieting?
I have more titles than Tom.
This is not following a diet. This is not getting fit. This is not drugs doing the work. This is whatever it takes. This is prep. Early morning in Bristol, UK, and already gym owner Tom Blackman is up preparing food for the day.
If you're going to cook with olive oil, you can cook with coconut oil, or avocado oil is actually one of the better ones. Avocado oil you can cook with, and it resists very high temperatures and doesn't go bad. I treated myself to a big fridge. In true J Cutler form, I have the top shelf reserve. My chicken there, steak burgers, my tilapia fish there, and I've got turkey and steak burgers.
Being a vegetarian, now that you're starting to compete, the fridge is like something like walking into an abattoir. It's disgusting. He keeps putting his food onto my corn burgers.
Well, I have tried to get Nick to take vitamins and minerals because she's a vegetarian, which is like almost poison. She needs to have things like fish oils and stuff like that, but trying to get her to take them is very difficult.
I've tried to get Tom to have corn, and he won't touch corn.
Corn is like poison. You can almost taste the UNGAINZ in it. And every time I even smell one of Nick's corn sausages, I feel as though my biceps have shrunk 2 inches just by smelling it. So imagine what I would do if I actually ate it. I might be as small as Paul.
160 miles away in Plymouth, UK, business development consultant Paul Scarborough's day begins in a similar fashion.
This is the mirror that Paul quite often looks in.
That's so wrong. Seriously, that's so wrong.
When he walks past, he does quite often check his reflection out. Does Daddy look at himself in the mirror?
Goodbye.
If there's something that he can see his reflection in, he's probably looking at it.
When it comes to greens, as my wife will attest to, I'm not the best. I'm not one of those guys that go, oh yeah, lovely meal full of greens and all the goodness. I don't like them.
Why is it going to hell?
Because Phil told me I had to.
Does Daddy get grumpy when he's dieting? Does he?
After 3 years away from the stage, this year will see Tom and Paul return as competitive bodybuilders.
Yeah, they are. That's from years ago. That is, I think, 2007. That was my first ever time I was on the front cover of the Beef. Years, and I think I was about 24 then.
This is where I put my major trophies. I've got a cardboard box full of some trophies downstairs, which are basically my class wins from the West. I can't display all of them, so I just display the British, the world ones, that sort of thing. This here was given to me from my wife. She spoke to 5us, who took the shoot, behind my back. I didn't know about it. And she created a couple of things as gifts for me. And this is one of them. As you can imagine, it was hard for her to hide in the house, but she did actually do it.
Despite now being seasoned veterans of the sport, Tom and Paul's first attempts to compete were far from successful.
Diet was crap. I cheated all the time. Didn't do enough cardio.
It was horrible. It was the Open England Classic in Bournemouth. No federation, just an open class show.
I went on stage. I looked okay, I suppose, for a beginner, but, you know, crap, really. You know, I won because I was the biggest guy, pretty much. But I weren't the most cut guy, that's for certain.
And I made the drastic mistake of putting my name in for the open class and not the first timers class, and placed dead last.
Not only will this year see the return of Tom and Paul to the bodybuilding stage, but for the first time, these two best friends will be each other's competition.
They have banters about what kind of car they drive, who wears the biggest size clothes.
Paul and Tom have got a great relationship. I would liken them to brothers, actually.
Well, Paul's my best friend. We've known each other. I can't remember how long it is now. It's probably coming up to 10 years. I can't remember the exact amount of time. We met online, not on Plenty of Fish, but on a muscle building forum where we were all chatting, and me and Paul have the same sort of mentality, same sense of humour, and all those things were quite similar, except that he's like 40 years older than me.
It has been said that we look like brothers. I personally don't see it because I'm much better looking and taller than him. But I would class Tom as a brother, to be fair.
Well, you can just imagine, you know, two mates, when you compete against each other, whoever beats the other one, that's it then, you know, that for the rest of your life, until you do another competition together, that's just going to be, I beat you, you know, you're second best, and, you know, there's too much to lose by competing against each other, so we've never done it in the past.
The initial show is the qualifier, which is the NABBA West Britain. It's held in Exeter, this year it's on the 3rd of May. I'm a Mr. competitor, and the Mr. competitors, unlike the UK BFF, which are done by weight, NABBA do it on height. So class 1 is the tallest, class 2, class 3, but down to class 4. So that's why we're in the same class. Tom keeps on jibing at me to go up to the Masters, but I think that's just a tactic so he didn't have to compete against me, because he's scared. But...
Who do I think's going to win? Of course, I have to say Paul. He's my husband and I support him 100%. However, Tom is also an amazing bodybuilder.
With the sun still rising over Bristol, it's time for Tom to head to work.
Well, in the day I run the gym, manage the gym, so I split my day up into a couple of bits. So I have my personal training, diet and nutrition business, which I help other people get ready for shows, and I also just train people so they can look a bit better, look a bit fitter. Then I've got managing the gym, which is the second bit of my day. It's all the accounts and the financing and sourcing new equipment, you know, moaning at people because things aren't going right.
He is a good boss. If he's in a good mood, he's lovely. Always good to be around, always really funny. If he's in a bad mood, then it's best to stay out of his way.
And then the third bit of my job is my bodybuilding, because I consider it a job, even though I'm not a professional bodybuilder. When I book time off my diary, so in my diary I have sections that say training, and when I'm very busy, I have just sections that say eat.
So all the staff call Tom's office his cave, and this is his sofa, which is nicely placed for him, right out the back, nobody here to speak to him or see him.
Yeah, he's got a sofa in his office, yeah, so you can use that.
She hasn't experienced me on a diet, but there's been plenty of other stressful situations we've been in, you know, in terms of moving house and other things that, you know, I think I've not managed to tear the place apart. So it is a special kind of stress, but As a sort of safety net, I have put a sofa in my office so I can come and sleep there if need be. Obviously, we're talking about assisted bodybuilding, not natural shows, because there is a lot of natural shows that are tested. I suppose it's the same with anything. A lot of people look at bodybuilders, and for years, and even before I was using anything, I was getting accused of taking, whatnot.
The general consensus when it comes to bodybuilding is you are who you are because of drugs. Because of steroids, because of insulin, because of growth, because of peptides, and so on and so forth. You are as lean as you are because of drugs, Len, ephedrine, things like that. And that's just so incorrect. It's stupid.
I've seen courses on the net, and it's like there's no way someone could take that amount, because the amount you'd have to inject and blah blah blah, you just wouldn't have any room left in your body. So we'll just Google pro steroid cycles or pro steroid stats, and let's see what comes up.
That advice is normally given by idiots.
1,000 milligram of Masteron a day. Now, this is obviously this is possibly when Masteron was an oral and was available as an oral properly, but I think they were only available in maybe 5 or 10 mg tablets. So that's 100 tablets. If it's a 10 mg tablet, that's 100 tablets a day. That's stupid. There's no way someone sat there and gone like that and then just piled in 100 tablets. That just doesn't make sense. And they spelt Masteron wrong as well. And there's a bit here, 100 milligram of halotestin a day. If you did that, you'd be dead. Look at this one for Dorian Yates. 4 grams of test prop a week. That's fucking 40 mil. What a fucking joke. No way you could get that amount in a week. That's fucking bollocks, right?
They don't believe what you're on, because they're not making progress on what they're on, so you must be on so much more. And that's the perception for the pros. I can say that I have several friends who are pros, who I'm close with, and I know what protocols they've used and use. And I can categorically say they are nowhere near what the amateurs, what the guys on the forums think they are.
Generally, people who are good at bodybuilding, they don't use massive amounts of gear. You generally find it's the people who aren't very good at bodybuilding. They take more drugs to try and compensate for the fact they're not good at eating well, they're not good at training properly, they're not good at dieting, and they overdo the drugs and the stims to make up for that, because they think that's what's required, because they haven't got the mindset to do it.
With steroid possession legal in the UK, back home, Tom agrees to show us the drugs he will use to prepare for the upcoming show.
The role steroids play in a prep is to maintain muscle, essentially. So you don't need massive amounts, but you need enough to maintain the muscle. And that's where their necessity comes from.
On one hand, you have pharmaceutical products. Pharmaceutical products are made by a licensed manufacturer of drugs, and they make testosterone, they make anti-estrogens, they make all sorts of different things. So here is a thyroid preparation, which is T3. Generally, this is taken on a diet to increase your metabolism. People tend to think of it as a fat burner. Not really a fat burner in that sense. It elevates your metabolism, it turns over protein, carbohydrates, and your metabolic rate faster, so you can burn calories at a higher rate. Now, people take that on the off season as well as when they're dieting, so that if they want to absorb more food, that will help with that as well. Typically, people take more when they're on diet because it increases how fast you burn calories, but that can also be counterproductive in that you can burn up muscle tissue if you're not taking adequate calories. So more is not better with this. It's a question of finding what the happy medium is. So that's a pharmaceutical product made by a proper pharmaceutical company that makes drugs for a living.
They're not a must, for all bodybuilders, because there are different federations and there are non-tested and tested federations. I compete in a non-tested federation, so essentially it's a level playing ground.
Have an anastrozole, which is a Rimidex, which is an anti-estrogen, or more specifically anti-aromatase, and this attacks how the body converts testosterone to estrogen in the body. Now, this is important on a diet because if you have estrogen relates to more water retention, more fat gain, which is something you don't want if you're a bodybuilder competing for a show. So testosterone can convert to estrogen in the body, and the enzyme aromatase does that. So this stops that happening. Now, that might sound great, but unfortunately that also leads to things like higher cholesterol and other side effects associated with having higher testosterone than estrogen.
I made a choice 20 odd years ago to start using steroids. I don't regret that choice. I'm not doing anything bad, so it's just a thing that I do.
The most common form of how steroids are presented in the UK to the mainstream user is what's called underground labs. Now, these labs are sometimes owned by someone who's very good at what they do, and they got qualification in biochemistry, and they get the raw powder, mix it with oils and a few other preparations, and then they make a product which goes into a vial. Now, generally these are multi-dosed vials, so whereas with a pharmaceutical product you'll get one ampule, which is one shot, which you break open or whatever and pull out. With underground labs, they tend to be multi-dosed vials. It's a lot better for them to make it that way. It's a lot more cost effective.
Do they make the man? Do they make the person on stage? No, it's a tool. It's just as I would use a pre-workout or an intra-workout supplement for this specific task, I would use steroids for this specific task. They don't formulate a massive part of my prep, but they are a part of the prep, and that's the biggest misconception.
So moving on from that, you then have labs which maybe aren't licensed but produce in foreign countries the ampules, and that comes presented like this. This is a Masteron product, so it's a product that is not testosterone, it's a derivative of testosterone, and it's stronger than DHT, which is dihydrotestosterone, and that is something that can't aromatize, can't turn to estrogen. So in the body, there's no need for an anti-estrogen like an anastrozole, but what it does give you is very lean gains, very hard muscle look.
I've done the high doses a week, and I've got more muscle now on doses that are easily less than a quarter of the doses I used to do than when I did the high doses. And the biggest difference is my nutritional approach.
Here you have a pharmaceutical product which is an oral type of steroid, and these comes in generally blister packs. Now, when you get underground lab products, you don't generally tend to get blister packs like this. You generally tend to get a pot, like you would buy an aspirin pot with all the pills in. So that's just a selection, but there are many, many, many types of underground labs, many types of other labs, and many products available. That's just a selection of what is available.
With preparation for the show well and truly underway, and despite being each other's competition, Paul sets off on the 2-hour journey to Tom's gym in Bristol for what will be the first of many joint training sessions.
Me and Tom train well together, and he pushes me hard, I push him hard, and that's mainly for the fact that neither of us want to be seen to be not lifting as much.
We just can't help it. Once you get us in a room, it's straight away. It's who can get the banter in first.
As soon as Paul arrives at the gym, Tom is keen for them to have their first weigh-in.
Wow, really?
The other day I was 93.5.
95 kilos.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on, fatty. Had to put your money in. Such a skinflint. He's trying to steal that money now. Ooh. Some serious work required there.
102 kilos. But in my defence,
Yeah, I've got a cap on.
I'm wearing my hoodie and my big Nike boots, so that's fine. Well, next time we get together here, we'll wear without them on.
All right.
In fact, go get me a 20p piece. I want to see what it's like without these on. Go on, you fucker.
You got another one, mate? Paul wants a re-weigh.
I think you find it wasn't as if I demanded it. It was because you don't weigh in wearing your hoodie, your boots and everything like that. That's not a weigh-in, that's an ego boost. You know, Tom was happy with that because he didn't want to look too far from it. It was at the end of the day, I just felt that the weight of 102 kilos was not correct. So I didn't demand it, I just said, Tom, get me another 20p so I can weigh myself.
Inside Spider-Man quite light though. That should like elevate it a couple of pounds. Right.
If this goes everywhere, I'm fucked.
Oh, a whole half a kilo.
£2 is not half a kilo.
That's kilos. It was 102. That's 101. Oh no,
That was
100.
16. No.
It was 102.
No, it was 16.2.
It was 102, and then it was 101 and a half.
All right, okay.
That's 500 grams.
It's not 500 grams. It was 16.2, and now it's 16. So that's £2, Egypt. That may be half a kilo in Bristol, but in the
Fat
rest of
people
the
are supposed
world.
to be jolly. Supposed to be happy and jolly.
Put his cap on the wrong way this morning.
We have a chemistry, me and Tom, where we can take the piss out of each other, and both can take it, both can receive it. And we know, you know, it's nothing personal. It's not. We don't say anything too close to the bone. You know, we have boundaries, but we encourage each other through the sets. In between the sets, we have a laugh. You know, you're supposed to enjoy training. You know. So yours would be further back.
I didn't see mine. I just left on the pillow when I get up in the morning.
Great.
My next, yeah.
Of the hair you've got left.
No, this is always grey. I get it dyed.
No,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. Jen likes it.
Yeah, I've always found that your girlfriends like my hair being so plentiful.
She likes muscly guys. She went like you.
Today is chest day. An opportunity for Tom and Paul to develop their side chest pose for the stage.
People have to understand in the side chest, it's not just about the chest. Obviously that's the part you're showing, but from a judge's perspective, you're looking at the whole physique from toe to neck. So the fact that I judge bodybuilding shows, whether that gives me an advantage. Does it give me an advantage as a competitor? As in how I present myself? Yes. You're looking at the shoulder, the chest obviously, how it hangs, how full it is, cross striations from the other side, the full arm, tricep and bicep, intercostals, coming down to the quads, the hamstrings, and eventually the calves. Because when a judge looks at you in that pose, like all the other poses, he's not just focusing in on your chest. He'll choose his favoured side, obviously, but to enhance the position, if he clenches this arm and pushes it over, he pushes this chest up, bringing out the cross striations. When you go into it, take a deep breath in and squeeze your intercostals. This is missed by a huge amount of competitors. Another tip, and this is in all side poses, including side tricep. If Tom brings this leg through, but moves it so his trailing leg pushes against it,
his hamstring is pushed out. You've got to understand that on stage, it's an illusion. The cable exercise we did was more about the contraction. Because we didn't step forward of the cables, so we didn't hit the stretch, we stepped behind the cables, so what we were aiming for then was a contraction here. The second movement we did the incline dumbbell press, but we put it on a low incline. On you. More. Come on. Come on. Again, come on, again, push. Again, up. Come on, a few more, come on. Yes, good. Again. Push. Yeah. Although you can't actually train individual parts like upper, mid, middle and lower, it does put more emphasis on the upper part of the chest.
Even with mates, when you compete against each other, there's always that little bit of, how is he looking, bastard, he's looking good, there's none of that because we're not competing against each other. But this time, there is. So I did consider getting tanned up before he turned up today, but I haven't bothered.
Come on. The third exercise that we did was the superset with the dumbbells and then the guillotine press. This will hit the pec minor, which essentially lays under the chest, which gives you that fullness. All right, we would fatigue it with the dumbbells and then go over to the guillotine press to the top of the neck, virtually on your Adam's apple, again, to stretch it out. And then the last exercise we did, Tom's got a piece of equipment in his gym that you would normally use for triceps, but it can be adapted as we used it to hit the lower part of the chest. And we hit it from 2 different angles, again, to just change up the exercise. And that's what you get. A hairy dwarf.
That's my applause. See?
You should be doing this outside in the car park.
Thank you. I know, that was an awesome set, thank you.
What would I say to people who say I passed it and a bit too old?
Yeah, well, I don't buy all my followers.
Bought and paid for.
Come the 3rd of May, step on stage with me and give it your best shot.
Next time on Prep.
Put something extra special together for them, I think.
A chance encounter with top UK coach Mike Gelsey leads to a brutal back workout with Olympia competitor and ex-IFBB pro James Llewellyn.
And they can fight it out for 2nd place.
You can fucking carry on, find another one.